because it's time now, my friends, to say hello to our first in-studio guest of the day. I mean, what a big deal this is. Let me stand up here. Wow. When you have one of the top managers in MMA join you in studio with that fantastic mullet, you have to stand up. Thank you. Now, I put this out just for you, Tim. No? Wow, we're putting that on the ground? Really? That was gifted to me. Where's your gift? Ben Cousins.
It's a real football team.
Wow, okay.
That's a real football team.
That is, what team is that?
West Coast Eagles.
West Coast Eagles?
Yes.
Same league?
Yeah, same league.
Did you wear that on purpose?
No.
Okay. So a fan gave me that.
No, I'm sorry, but I can't. If I'm looking at that,
you hate this team.
It's going to go to mess.
This team.
I don't necessarily hate the Crows. It's just like, why out of any team you could have picked, you picked the Crows. So it was just like, it's just going to distract.
They gifted me. Okay, well, we've been through this. But I did say this. I've never seen you so upset. Like, you legitimately were mad and disappointed in me that I had this jersey on the table. Yeah, it is random. Trust me, I know.
Why the Crows? Why not pick like a good team?
All right. So Fremantle. Do you know Fremantle? Someone just said, I'm reading the questions here. Is that bad? I am sending you a Fremantle Football Club AFL jersey in majestic purple and white with the number 11 on the back.
One team worse than the Crows, it would be the Fremantle.
Okay.
So they're our crosstown rivals.
Okay, wow.
And most of my friends are Freo supporters.
What is it? Freehill?
Fremantle.
Fremantle. Okay, yeah,
Freo.
okay. All right. Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Great start.
We're a little bit late.
Yeah,
New York traffic's no joke.
Everything going well?
Yeah, it's good.
Big media tour?
Yeah, it's been non-stop since.
This is the main event, though. This is like the crown jewel.
Andrew may say something different, but for me...
Who's Andrew?
We just came from Andrew Schultz.
Oh, Andrew Schultz, who claims to be an MMA journalist. He did that whole shtick? He did that whole thing?
I'll leave Israel to
Oh,
that.
geez. Okay. All right. Well, thank you guys for coming. We're going to have Izzy soon, but I wanted to talk to you. A lot going on. In fact, if I'm being honest, I mean, your name has been brought up a couple times on Monday and also today.
You're getting aired out.
Yeah.
We got aired out by Behrman.
Yes.
Who will be hearing from my lawyers.
Yes.
And apparently I got aired out by Casey today.
That's right. That's right. Before we get to all of that, and also the big deal and the weekend, you don't do a lot of media.
No.
There's a lot of MMA managers who love the media, who love the attention, and there is a method to that madness, I think. There's a bit of promotion and hype and drawing clients. Why have you chosen to go? I mean, I was trying to look like there's like very little YouTube videos on, like very little. Why did you go the path of not doing a lot of media?
Everyone's different. I've really only done your show before, and then I'll do media.
That was with Audie, right? Yeah. It wasn't even solo.
No. Then I do stuff in Perth, in Australia sometimes. It's close to home, but in general, it's just not really me. I like to be behind. I'll do this, then you probably won't hear from me for another 2-3 years.
Okay.
But it's kind of, I like to be behind the scenes. I understand why some people do it. I think a lot of it's ego, honestly, but a lot of it is to promote clients, etc. I'd rather just perform for my clients and our clients, honestly. And I don't particularly. It's not the manager's role, in my opinion. It's like there can be a point to it. And I think this is great every now and then, and I enjoy it. But generally, let your fighters be front and center and work behind the scenes is our approach to it. I've always followed, Audie's way. Audie doesn't do much media either. No one from our team does a lot of media. So inside our company, it's clients first. Like, I don't even have a Twitter really. I hardly use my Instagram. I'm a pretty private person.
I was trying to find your Twitter this morning to tag you. You deleted it, right?
I have one that is just like a creeper one. Well, not a creeper one, just to
like a burner account.
Yeah, just to see what the news and see what my clients are doing. But I don't tweet or anything. That's for important people.
Right. Fair enough.
Keep it low.
How old are you?
Turned 30 in 2 months.
30?
Yeah, I'm 29.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I started pretty young.
How old were you when you started?
23.
23. How did you start?
So I have a bachelor degree in sports management and I have a law degree. So when I was working as a lawyer in Australia, when I came over here in 2015, I connected with Audie the first time.
How did you connect with him?
LinkedIn.
You just sent him a message?
Yeah.
A blind,
Yeah. I was like a super, super fan of the sport. Like from the age of I was a massive pro wrestling fan. And then from one of the early, I think the first Ultimate Fighter that I watched every episode was the one, the beta one. I think that was 8 or 9.
Yeah.
So I was watching that, and then I was just a crazy fan through high school, all through college, university, as we say. And I just wanted to find a way to work in the industry. And I worked for Muay Thai Australia when I was in Australia. I worked at a couple different gyms. I had a good good kind of background in the combat scene in Australia. And then when I came over, I quit my job, came over. I was teaching kickboxing at UFC gym, and I was working at the call center. Yeah. So then I messaged Audie. I didn't even ask him for a job. I was just like, hey, I've come over to the US. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be here for, but just any advice on how you think I could get into this industry, I'd appreciate it. And he replied, and we got on a phone call and just kind of clicked. Now Audie's like a brother to me, a big brother.
How long does he take to reply?
Like 3 days.
3 days.
I think that'd be tough now. Like now knowing like the...
Now it takes him 3 days to even read my text, 10 days to reply to the text with Audie.
I know. So yeah, I mean, I think it was just timing because like I get a lot of inbound requests from kids like that. So does Audie, and it's like sometimes you just see one that just catches your eye. Like, sometimes I'll see one and be like, not that I try and reply to everybody, but it's just there's so much on. Sometimes you see one, you're just like, maybe this is a guy that I'll give my time to. And I try and do like at least one a week with that. But yeah, he gave me his time, and from 2015 onwards, I was kind of straight in the deep end. So initially when you're brought in, what are you doing? I was like kind of like in like a intern role, mainly in like marketing, like client deals. I was working on some of like... now this is 2015. Yeah. This is like Conor exploding. Yeah, so the first thing I ever did was in the Aldo camp. Wow. So we spoke on the phone, and I was working at a UFC gym in Torrance at the time. And they knew I was working there, and they called and they were like, hey, you still working at, I think it was someone else who's not at the company anymore, was like, Conor's looking somewhere to train in California, you're still living there? And I was like, yep, I'll figure this out. Like got him in, they trained at the gym in Torrance for the lead up to the Aldo camp. So the first thing I ever did in this industry was opening up the gym at night for Conor, Gunny, John, all that gang. So that was the first thing I did. And then I was working like commercially on some deals and everything. And then 2016, towards the end of 2016, I started working really closely with Audie. Okay. Like in an associate, almost assistant type job. I wasn't a great assistant, but I was good like from the business side. And then that was 2016. And then I started managing my first client at the start of 2017. Who was your first? Megan Anderson. That was your first? Yeah. Really? Interesting. How did that happen? Same circle in Australia. Okay. Yeah, so my coach, my Muay Thai coach coached her for a bit. They connected us and yeah. Now this is pre-UFC. This is Invicta Megan Anderson, right? Yeah, right after her last one, and then we went through the whole UFC journey. At what point because now you have your own clients, basically. Yeah. Like obviously it's under the Paradigm umbrella, but there are ones that you deal with specifically that Audie really has nothing, like unless needed, right? Yeah, I mean the way we do it is like we have 5 managers total, including Audie's still a manager, six managers. So we have our philosophy has always been keeping it really tight. Like a client to manager ratio. It's not a company where you got like one manager and 250 clients and they don't really get the attention. So of our 70 clients, we have 6 managers. So Audie is the CEO of the company. He the founder CEO, he runs the company, he still manages a few very closely. I'm the head of the MMA department, and I still have managers and clients in which I'm the lead relationship manager on. Okay. And we have Dave, Carl, Jordan, John, Leo, that all have their own clients as well. Oh. So the philosophy is not like, that's my client, that's your client. It's you're a Paradigm client, and you have access to all of our staff, all the resources, all our staff, the departments we have built out from our blockchain, sponsorships and endorsements, digital sponsorships. Everyone has access. There's no like, that's mine, that's yours, that's who you talk to. But for efficacy purposes, you need a lead relationship manager. So that's the way that's kind of broken out. How many MMA fighters are now under the umbrella? About 74, 75. Wow. Is this the most? Yep. Yeah, okay. It's grown steadily. We did a bit of kind of a recruitment. We don't do a huge amount of outbound recruitment. Like we like to, at least, in our part, think that we only work with really blue chip athletes. No disrespect to other athletes, but a lot of times if someone's really good, but they're 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, we tend to be patient with people because once we're in, we're all in. Mm-hmm. Like we're not a management company that will sign someone who's got 2 wins and hope they get good and then start working for them, right? If you're in with us, you're in with us. Mm-hmm. So that's why we've been patient on it. We missed out on opportunities on good fighters, but I will always vigorously defend our recruiting system. And, it's just, it goes back to if you're with us, you're getting so much resources and so much effort, that we really like to be selective with who we work with and what their ceiling is and what type of person they are mostly as well.
And I was just looking, you guys have Josie Altidore, the soccer player, the football. So it's MMA, soccer / football, NFL too?
Yep.
NBA?
No.
No more NBA.
No.
There was NBA.
Yeah, we dabbled in it for a while.
Any other sport?
Soon.
Yeah. Okay.
Soon. I won't.
MMA media. No, I'm just joking. Okay, so there's expansion coming.
Yep. Yeah,
Okay.
we have heads of all those different departments, and that, and on the venture front as well. Like the companies with Proper 12 and Tidal and a lot of things we built. That's really something we're passionate about, and what Audie's really driving as well. How
stressful is your life? You're the head of the MMA department. I can't imagine. Like you.
It's all right. Like it's. I can do stress all day long. Like I can do busy all day long, I'll say. Like organized, busy, I can do that. 7 days a week, like let's go. Organized, busy, I can do. Unorganized, busy is stress. So, and that happens at times, but I have such a good team, like people that have my back all day long, like from every single one of our staff. Like right at the moment, I've been on the road for 10, 11 days already, nonstop from when we got to Houston. I went and saw Yuri in Arizona, came back, fight week, now we're on this media tour. So it's like all day long I'm doing something. At the same time, the stuff in the background doesn't slow down. But that's where I can rely on my team to have my back and get stuff done. So yeah, it's a stressful job, but it's also, and there's times where I'm like today I was so tired. And I was like, I'm just exhausted. Like this travel is killing me, I'm doing it. But then you got to be like, well, I used to sit in an office when I was a lawyer, and it's like, be thankful for the life that you're able to lead. Right. So I'm happy. Stress comes and goes, but I'm happy.
The MMA business right now, is it healthy? Is it like, what is your take on the MMA business? How would you assess it?
As a whole, I think it's thriving, right? I think year after year, MMA gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And I think it's growing. I think the numbers are good. There's bigger deals. Athletes are slowly getting paid more. I think there's a huge amount of work to go on fair allocation of pay to profits. We can talk about that all day long. But it's definitely getting better. Like we just did Izzy's new deal, and I think that was fair, and that's a good representation. Not everyone's Izzy. I think across the board, there's a lot of room to improve on what these fighters are getting paid. But aside from that, if you look at like the business as a whole, I think it's booming, right? I think the numbers have been pretty good. I think the public awareness is better. I think we're slow. Like even you've been in this industry for so much longer than me. I've been doing this for 7 years. From when I started 7 years ago, it was like I started right when the Reebok deal started. Like from that into the ESPN deal, it's like we are bridging towards the mainstream. Even if it feels slow and there's areas to improve, like the sport's come a long way.
So you mentioned the Izzy deal. Congratulations. That was big. The timing was really interesting because it was right before his fight. How long had you been working on that?
I mean, that was kind of like when I started working with Israel, so Eugene's always looked after Israel, and when Eugene sought additional help, specialist help, if you will, that was kind of the big agenda. It's like, all right, this guy, when are we gonna do this big deal? And that I started working with Rob, with Izzy before the first Rob fight. Okay. After Gaslam for the first Rob fight, and that was kind of like, that obviously endorsement, sponsorship, brand building, everything we do was part of it, but the UFC contract was a big part. Okay. So we did some deals related to each fight that improved the compensation, but this big one that has now kind of extended his contract and been a fresh contract was from since the last fight, but really got going around early November last year.
Okay. And how was it? How was the process?
It was generally cordial. I mean, obviously, like you start in different places and you work your way to the middle, and it was cordial. There's always like heat behind the scenes, but it never got personal. It's always business, and I have a good relationship with Hunter and the UFC and Mick, and we're able to figure it all out. There's definitely some moments where you have to just let it simmer down a bit, come back to the table, but we got it done, and Israel's happy, Eugene's happy, that his family's happy, everyone's happy. I'm happy with how it went, and in the end, once that contract's signed, everything that happened before then just goes. So. Right.
I said last week that I thought for the UFC was imperative for this deal to get done before his fight because they didn't want to play the game that they just played with Francis, where he's a champion going into his final fight. Did you feel the same way? Did you feel like after what happened with Francis, you guys actually had some leverage there because the clock was ticking and they didn't want Saturday to come, he wins, and now he's got one fight left?
I don't think they showed that card. Like, they would never say that to me. But I think that's a reasonable conclusion to come to, right? And I hate to feel like we profited off Francis' situation, but because everyone's so different and I don't know the inner workings of that, but I think that would be a logical conclusion. Yeah.
So you're like very much involved in these talks, right? The negotiations for his deal.
Yeah, so I mean, we have a great team. Like, we have a New Zealand partner with AP Sports Management, which is Eugene and Ash. But I'll lead it, at least direct conversations, and then I'll get back, I'll huddle with my team, huddle with them, and we work as a team. Israel's father, I speak to a lot as well, who's his business manager and accountant, if you will. So I'll lead the conversations, but as the thought, the Shark Tank, if you will, is our wider team.
The reason I asked that is because you mentioned Hunter Campbell, who's the chief legal counsel. I believe that's his
chief business officer, I think, is it?
Okay, that's the updated title. I think that was the original name. In any event, my understanding is Dana doesn't get involved in these discussions, right? It's Hunter, the one who's leading the way.
Yeah.
How would you describe him as a sparring partner?
I'm fine with Hunter. I'm fine. When I see him in person, it's always cordial. Like, I'm not necessarily the manager that goes out and is like getting drinks and partying with these guys, but I got a lot of respect for Hunter. I believe he has respect for me, and we got the deal done. We're not always like, sometimes on the phone things have to get heated, but that's just the nature of the job. And I don't think anything ever gets personal. I don't think it's ever like a personal thing and the relationship is going to hurt the deal. It's really just focused on the deal. And I've always done well with Hunter. I don't have any issues with him.
I think that's important to note, only because you always would hear in the past that it would always get personal, that it would always get heated.
Yeah.
And when you hear with the NBA, the NFL, like, of course there are negotiations, but it doesn't seem like it gets truly personal with the GMs and the agents and whatnot. I think this is actually a sign that the sport is moving into a more mainstream direction. Just because you are negotiating with someone doesn't mean that you're an MFer and you have to start yelling and stuff like that, right?
I think it's the way you do it as well. I think it goes back to like keeping it just professional. Like, if anything, my whole company, myself, just try to be professional. Like there's no gamesmanship in the media or on Twitter, that kind of thing. Just try and be professional. Like, our company, particularly Audie, started from that world. He was an NFL agent first. We were a boutique NFL agency, so we've taken a lot of those principles in negotiations on our side as well, as far as the process that we take internally, but how we then work from that world that you're describing, right? So I think that comes across in the negotiations. And, the last major deal we did with the UFC by Hunter was Audie and I on Conor's last deal, right? And it was a similar process. And I think knowing from that we're able to do that behind the scenes and that there was no drama with Conor and we got a deal done, I think they have, regardless of any noise, I think there's a respect there, and Hunter understands that we're businessmen and we're just looking to do the best for our clients and respect the process in a whole. So it was, I've got no complaints about how the process was handled.
So in the press release, it said second biggest deal in UFC history. I would imagine, given your history with Conor, that's number one.
Yeah.
And you would know, based on the fact that you negotiated it. Why am I an a-hole if I ask you for the terms of the deal? Why can I know what Kevin Durant is making to a penny? Why can I know what, any NFL... Why am I such a bad person if I want to know how many fights is this for? What is second most? Like, what is that bar? Why can I not know this?
I don't think we said second most in the press conference. I think that was assumed. I think we said one of the most...
Oh, no, I have it. I mean, I don't want to pull... Do you want me to pull it up?
I don't think it says second most in the press conference, does it?
In the press release.
The press release?
Not that, I think that's an amazing thing.
I mean, I don't know if that was said in the press release. I think Conor said that in his tweet. But he... I
just want to pull it up.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, from my understanding, it's right up there. And to your question about why we can't release it publicly, that's Israel's call. That's
But why do you like that fact?
No, I think you should always close.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I think
why?
Because and you take the Israel and Conor examples as a side. I think if sports-wide every UFC salary was disclosed, it's going to create more unity, more leverage for the fighter. And that's all I care about is leverage for the fighter, right? I would love to know when I'm negotiating for someone who's not Israel, here's a relevant comp. I think it would make things so much faster. And it's like, it's not the same as in like NBA and NFL, right? Because the comps are more accurate. Because in those team sports, you don't need to sell tickets necessarily. You know, you don't need to be combat sports is so different. It's like 50% your athletic side, 50% your putting asses in seats, you know, being the brand, being a prize fighter, if you will. I think in the stick and ball sport, there's not so much that. So the comps you can look at how many, I'm going to be a sports guy right now, how many, I almost said layups, or how many rebounds, how many points, how many assists, compare that to another guy who plays this minutes, that, and you can almost get comps that way. Fighting's not that linear, right? You can take a guy who's won this many fights in UFC or this many fights in UFC, but they could be completely different pay scales because one guy's a Bobby Green who's got a brand and another guy's a whoever it may be. So in that sense, the comps aren't going to be perfect, but I think there would be no harm in giving those numbers to everybody. Even if it's not public, even if like they have a manager, you know, association, a registration system where managers can see it and they're bound by confidentiality, even that would make more sense. But I've heard arguments like, well, nobody wants the pay disclosed because nobody wants to know how much everyone's making. And I hear that, but I don't think that hurts LeBron James or like
Ronaldo, Messi, we know
like
these
athletes can deal with that.
Right.
I think, yes, that's relevant. And if any fighter feels that way, I completely respect that. But I think for the good of the whole sport, if purses were disclosed, not publicly even, just to like say an internal database, it would benefit all fighters.
So this fighter pay debate is a big one. Obviously, I'm sure it's one that's near and dear to you. Do you think it's fair right now? Do you think that the breakdown is fair?
Talking broadly, I don't think so.
No.
I mean, objectively, and again, I don't want this to like, I came on here to bash the UFC.
No, I'm asking you the questions. It's just the business of MMA. Who better than you? We could listen to a fighter talk about it, but the managers are the ones that are actually involved. You would know. Yeah,
of course. I think all fighters get paid more. Yeah, I think so. I think I'm not a like financial expert. Like I can't like look at the UFC's numbers and say this is where they could do it. Like we have people on our staff that are better than me at that. But from my basic financial understanding and from the numbers I'm aware of, it appears like there is more room to pay fighters more, in my opinion.
Do you feel like we're moving in that direction?
I mean, like you take like Israel for example, he's happy.
Right.
You know, I'm sure other fighters are happy. And even like from when I started again 7 years ago, the base payment has come up. Audie talks about like when he started MMA, guys were starting on like 2,500 and 2,500, something like that. And now the minimum's like 10 and 10 or 12 and 12, something like that. So it has improved, but has it improved enough? I don't believe so. But change will come, you know, I believe.
How's, and this may not be your domain per se, but I'm sure you know some of it, like the sponsorship game. Obviously for the Izzy's of the world, it's a much different, you know, he's got Puma and all these like blue chip. But you know, if you're someone climbing the ladder, a Leon Edwards even, right? Who hasn't won a belt, but is climbing. Is there money to be made in sponsorship? I think Instagram has helped a lot, but is there enough to where, you know, we used to hear these days in the spike days where people are getting like 100,000 to wear a shirt and all this stuff. All that is gone. Is there money for these fighters to be made on the sponsorship side, or is it still pretty dry?
No, we do well for our fighters. We do well. You know, I think almost all of our athletes have sponsorships. You know, it's about kind of covering the cost, and they're not crazy. They're not like, not everyone's making hundreds of thousands. Some are. It's always an area of improvement. You know, we're really focusing on that at the moment. We're hiring more sales staff as we speak to improve that for our fighters. But it's there. Like take Leon. Leon's got several sponsors. You know, enough to kind of tick over monthly, and it's there. It's there if you work at it, and something that we put a huge emphasis on, right? Like I think our company does it better than anybody else as far as sponsors go, and it goes both ways. Like you've got the ones that we drive, but also a lot of these up and coming fighters, we call them like local legends, have their local communities that look after them. Because a lot of them, even if those companies aren't doing it for like ROI, they truly want to see these young kids succeed. So we work on that level as well. But you know, it's kind of hard to pin on. I've got, you know, some guys that get a lot of sponsors and some don't. It comes down to the brand. Like it depends. Like if people that say like the industry's dead, you shouldn't expect sponsors. That's not true. We have success with almost all of our roster with sponsors. And again, probably got some clients hearing this going, I don't need more, but like, because it's infinite, right?
Right.
Like you can get like a great fight deal, you can get a great fight. Sponsorships are infinite. You can always get more sponsors.
Right.
So, and we honestly, it's like the biggest point of emphasis for our company is driving sponsorships for these guys. And we do it. We have weekly meetings on it. We have like, sponsorship drives, everything, lead generation. We just got a whole new like task management and lead generation, what's it called? Project management system where we're tracking this. So we certainly push hard. Like it's hard work. Like it's still a small sport, and like we'll reach out to 150, 200 companies a week and get 10, 20 emails in response, and then a deal you close off that. You might get a couple $1,000s for a couple social media posts. It's like if that was our business model, it's like that's a waste of all of our time if you're looking at it from a business, but it's supplements for our fighters, and it's all a part of it,
So we had the great Eugene Behrman on the show on Monday, and he wants to know where your allegiances lie.
Head me out.
He says there's too many middleweights on the roster right now.
Out.
There's Jack, there's Sean, there's Izzy. Like he wants you to pick a lane.
I knew he was on. I was there at the house.
Oh, really?
Outside. And he walks outside with this shit-eating grin on his face and goes, I won't use his words because it's too strong. Yeah. I just dipped you in it, you C-word. And I was like, all right. And then I went and watched it, and I was like, oh, but that's Eugene. That's the dynamic we have on that team. Everyone takes the piss.
But is that tricky, though? I mean, not that long ago, you had Jack and Sean.
Yeah. I mean...
And I know it hasn't happened often, right? You said it was just the second time?
Second time,
That's crazy.
Second time. Yeah, but we don't have a lot of clients.
It's a lot of middleweights.
3 of them.
Yeah.
3. And then we have a few others in the UFC, but it can be. It just depends what like... I don't get worried about it because I know who I am, and those guys trust me. Like if anything, it's advantageous for everyone to be under the... to know where it stands. You got both sides. It makes it easy. Jack and Sean was the easiest fight to make. They both wanted it. Can call Mick, hey, you want to do this? Eventually, like, yeah, let's do it. So it was easy. And then we have a big team as well, so it's not just me that is looking after these guys. So we have support from both sides. Of course, emotionally, it's not fun. Like when watching Jack and Sean, I was like happy and sad at the same time.
Right. So
emotionally, it's not fun, but it's part of, if you want to be successful in this industry as an agency or as an agent, like unless your rule is like 1 fighter per weight class, which isn't really an effective business model, I would say, you're going to run into it, and you just have to approach it with integrity and do right by both guys. Are you going to try to get Sean to fight Izzy next? I've been advocating for Sean. That's my job, right? Yeah. In the end, it comes down to Israel. I know you're going to speak to him. You can talk to him about what he wants to do, but I have to do my job and advocate for Sean. I said that straight to Izzy and Eugene. I have to advocate for Sean. And how do they feel about it? Izzy, I know. I'll let Izzy explain his side on it and who he wants to fight. But Eugene's taking the piss. Like he's a highly intelligent man. He's got very high acumen and he reads people very well. So he was just... Yeah. I could tell. Do you think there's a chance he gets it? Yeah. I mean, you've got the 2 clear contenders are Cannonier and Sean. Right. And it's Sean's coming off five wins. Cannonier's coming off 2 wins. Obviously, he's high ranked, a really impressive knockout. In the end, it's going to come down to what Izzy wants. Of course, I've got to advocate for Sean, but in the end, it's Israel's and the UFC, obviously. Right. But it's Israel's call, and he'll decide what he wants to do, and I will support that fully. I'll ask you a couple other rapid fire ones, and then we'll bring in the champ. Yep. Is it going to be Leon versus Usman 2 this summer? Is this going to happen? I mean, it's like everyone's afraid. They're afraid because if Khamzat fights Gilbert Burns in April, he beats Gilbert Burns, he's going to cut the line, and poor Leon's going to be left on the sidelines again. I don't think that would happen. Have you been told definitively that he is next? I've been told that that's the plan, pending on Kamaru's hand. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you think this summer? Yes, I believe so. I don't know the details on his hand, and I saw the photo of the surgery. But yeah, I think so. I can't see anything disrupting that, unless Kamaru's out for like a year or something. Right. We got to figure something out. But Leon is. I don't need to go over again what that guy's been through. Yeah. Like at this stage, he's patient. He deserves it. Like and when Dana comes out and says like he deserves it, he's been through this. It's been out of his control. He signed 3 bout agreements to fight Khamzat when allegedly no one else would. Like I believe the UFC will do right by him, and that's the conversations that I've had behind the scenes as well. So I'm confident that happens.
At this juncture, what is realistic for Conor's return? What month?
Really, that's on Conor too. Like I expect this year. You know, he's focusing on his recovery. He's in the Bahamas right now with his family and focusing on a lot of his other business ventures. So, as has been said 100 times, he doesn't need to come back.
Right.
Like the fact that he is who he is and what he's achieved financially, from a business perspective, athletically, he doesn't have to. But and then after that injury, it's like, okay, now might be the time. But he wants to fight again, which to me is like baffling and says a lot about him that he just loves it.
He does want to fight again.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
And you think he fights this year?
Yeah.
I think this summer probably too soon.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be then. I think at some stage this year, and I think when's the lightweight title fight is in summer. Maybe we see what happens there and go. But he'll fight this year, and it's a credit to him. Like he has no real reason to fight other than that he wants to, which is impressive.
Who do you predict he fights?
See what happens in the title fight.
You think he gets the winner?
Would you be surprised?
No, I wouldn't. But so you think there's a better chance of that than say like Nate 3?
Well, I think Nate's trying to fight sooner, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah. But then, fight after.
I don't know. The thing with Conor is he's always had options.
Right.
So he will have options when he's ready, and regardless of everything else that's going on in the division, he sells. He could fight anybody and it'll sell, and regardless of what I guess could be said is right for the division, in the end, business rules, and he could step into that title fight if he wanted to. So we'll see. There's some steps to go before there.
Any idea where Yuri Glover is happening?
Oh yeah, somewhere in the US.
Okay, no more Brazil.
No, they said something fell out there, somewhere in the US. I think it's going to have to be in one of the 4 or 5 cities that they've been doing.
Okay.
But hopefully we get that soon, yeah.
Last thing for you, Casey joked about this in our interview about like, he's paying too much attention. But I know she's joking. But It did get me thinking about like, man, you deal with a lot of emotional people, right? A lot of fighters who are tough, but also a little bit insecure. I'm not saying she is, but I know how it is. Like, oh, I see you. I know I've heard about this. Like, oh, you big up this person on Instagram too much. You don't show me love. How difficult is that part of the game as well? I saw you yesterday. You were Dennis, right? Yep. You got to show him love. He's got a fight coming up. You don't want to. How difficult is that game of not? Because it's like you have 40 kids that all want your attention, that all want your love. Yeah. And it's hard to do that all the time. I would imagine that's pretty tricky.
Yeah, I think just be real. Like, just be real. Like, again, I credit my team to having my back on that, right? And I try and touch base with my fighters all the time. It'll be funny. They'll say, it's always how you feeling.
That's the question?
I'm always asking how you're feeling. That's just my way of checking in.
Right.
And I try just to check in with people and just see for no reason. Right? It's nice to when people just, sometimes when you're busy, it's annoying. It's like, I already got too many text messages. But then really when people are just checking in just to really see how you are, it's nice. So I try to just check in, particularly when people have fights, how you going, what you're doing. But again, I credit my team that will be checking in with people as well, helping them out. And as far as like battling for different emotions and affection, it's that I can't control that. Yeah, all I can do is make sure I am reaching out and I am there to care, but I can't control how people feel. And hopefully my clients and people in the industry know that I do care and I'm genuine and I try my best. But yeah, there's times where it's like I'm so caught up in a fight week for Izzy or Conor, but I hope that for the other clients that they understand that. And it's like when it's your time to shine, I'm there.
Right.
I'm always showing up when it's your time, right? And in the meantime, check in and be involved as much as possible. So,
well, you're doing a great job. By the way, you're doing a great job. Yeah, I know she was just messy, but it got me thinking about how tough that must be.
Yeah. And again, that's why we built our company the way we have. We're like a lead relationship manager that has no more than 15 to 20 clients.
Right.
You're all a Paradigm client. You have access to everybody, but I think that's important, right? If I had 250 clients, I have no idea what I'd be doing.
Right.
And some companies are structured that way. So that's the way we keep that and make sure that everyone's phone call gets answered.
Keep up the great work. Thanks for doing this, my friend. Yeah, it was nice to have you here. You should do more of these.
With you, maybe.
Okay.
Just the green room.
Okay, yeah, that's right. That's right.
I'll be back in 3-4 years.
All right.